Alright, so I didn't have the mic on for the beginning of that, but I've been testing out different tips for this Harbor Freight, well, Chicago Electric Welding 5-in-1 Hobby Woodburner. I tried a couple welding tips. I tried the number 5, the pointed soldering tip, which I tried 2 methods. I tried straight up and down here, and then I tried sort of on an angle here to get more of a scaly texture. I like the scaly texture a little better. It's a little easier to be consistent with it. It looks a little cleaner, at least for my first try, and it's not as rough because the craters are larger. Interestingly enough, I sanded down both of these with some, I don't even know what grit this is, little Dremel disc, and this went from really rough to super soft, like almost imperceptibly rough there because of how small it is. And then this went from like most rough to least rough, and this went from medium to, you know, somewhere between medium and light. And then I tried this pointed chisel tip. That's a chisel soldering tip number 9. I tried doing straight up and down lines here, which was interesting. And I tried cross hatching, but the cross hatching just ended up looking more like this. So straight up and down was interesting. I tried edging with it. The edge is a little rough, so maybe the practice would get better, but I don't know if it's the best way to do edging. And then I took the same tip and I tried it sideways like this, and I got these really large scallops, which I don't really like the look of, nor is the feel quite there. Maybe someone else does. I sufficiently melted my mat in a couple places, but we're going to try out another tip before I call it a night here. This is number 8. This is the chisel soldering tip, and before was the number 5, the pointed soldering tip. So this is sort of a medium sized tip. So let's try again, vertical up and down here. Hopefully you can see this. Alright, so if you can see, I just spent another 2, 3, 4 minutes pushing up some more here, and that feels nice, but it's way rougher. Way rougher. Way more rough. This is definitely more comfortable. I think I definitely want a bigger pattern. I think the bigger pattern, if done right, obviously that's where I started, but if done right, would look cleaner than this tighter one, at least, you know, for a first one. Yeah, it's going to give the same effect as the other one. Might even be doing a smaller hole because the tip is longer. That's interesting. I feel like it's giving a more accurate hole here. Yeah, it definitely can be more accurate at this one. So that's interesting. Let's see how this one works scalloped. Oh, scalloped, this digs in. Seems to dig in way deeper than the other one. So that's interesting. Again, maybe this one, maybe I just had the other one not tight enough. This one seems to be a lot easier to be more accurate with. Those Jetson rings are heating up my pinky there. So you can see it goes pretty quick. It's really interesting to watch the material melt and then solidify. That's pretty coarse. Let's see. That's not bad. Although I think I like this scallop to look better, not unsanded, with the other tip. But I'm going to keep going here just to get an idea for a larger surface. And I give credit to the guys who are pros because it takes patience to do this right, especially if you're working on someone else's firearm, charging them money for it. You got to be accurate. And that takes a level of patience I might not have. So in that case, I could see it totally being worth spending the money on it. Feels pretty good. I definitely like the larger scallop, but you know, it ends up being, I don't know how to describe it. It's rougher, but it doesn't give you as much grip. And this doesn't feel as rough, but it gives you, at least it gives me better grip with my thumb. I feel probably because it's as rough in the outline, but because it's wider, it's giving more place for the meat of my hand to grab onto. So that's interesting. Okay, it's good to know. I'm not gonna try the wood tips now. Yeah, maybe I'll try this little wood, this rounded one, because The wood tips are very similar, but maybe I'll try the rounded one and see how that goes. Alright, so let's try this last wood tip here and see how this goes. This is going to be a big hunker. Try straight up and down first. That's actually like makes some nice, very nice circles. This one's going to be easy to mess up. This tip slides around, so this one, don't imagine, without very careful moves. See how it's kind of sliding around and making a larger crater there. That's nice too. That's this feels only slightly rougher than the first scallop sanded. That point, it does feel nice. The little dots from the tiny one, the straight up and down dots, I think I like this tiny tip the most. The fine soldering tip, I think it is. Oh yeah, totally the pointed one. The very tiny soldering tip. I definitely like that up and down. And then the scallop version feels good. Looks interesting though. But see how it just slides all over the place because it's just such a blunt tip. Go pretty fast here. Because I don't really care about this one. Let me see if I try more random pattern. I'm sure the pattern's going to have an effect too in how long you hold it. Not holding very long there. Let's hold longer here. Some really deep crevices here. But oh yeah, you can totally cover up the old dots pretty good. You know, I actually came back and did this whole side with the sort of stripe pattern. That's sort of what inspired me to try this on the case. I don't know. I kind of like the texture of it. Kind of a different feel in different directions. But you can tell that different patterns definitely have different feels to them. So when you're stippling something, make sure you test it out first to get a feel of what you like. I definitely like the way the snakeskin kind of feels, but I don't know that I like the way it looks. That's definitely more aggressive. The smaller pattern is more aggressive, but I feel like you get more grip out of a larger pattern. Sort of like mud tires, you know, you kind of want big knobby things to get a better grip than the smaller, rougher pattern. So you can see I did a little stippling test on this Nexus 5X case, and the material is a little different. It's a little more rubbery, so it melted differently, but it was an interesting exercise. It didn't take too long to do, but you can see where if you do a different direction, like I did here, and went around the edge and came back and filled it in, it definitely took on a different pattern than the rest of it. I also was doing longer strokes here, trying out a different technique to see how it would turn out. This is a little bit smoother than here. But so the direction you're doing it in, when you're doing it, can all affect it, the material differently. And this material actually melted pretty quickly while doing it. That's part of why I went around and came back, because it was starting to warp pretty bad. But in the end, it works. You know, this case is a little slippery. You know, it's a cheap $15 case, and you know, it was a little rough at first, but I think some of the hard edges have worn off the material, and it's actually much more usable now. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Please like, favorite, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hopefully this video will help you get started stippling, just like I'm getting started stippling, with that cheap Harbor Freight Woodburner / soldering iron. And you know, definitely do some test work, practice first. I'm going to do a little more practicing before I do anything serious, that like a pistol frame or anything that's serialized. You know, a $15, $20 part you can always replace. But try it out in different materials, see what you like, see what you don't like. I was definitely very surprised by how the different textures felt. So don't just go by what looks cool. Although I definitely, you know, want something that looks cool, at least for me. All right, but keep standing up for what's right, and may God bless you.